Revelation chapter 6. There will be horsemen. 4 of them. The first is plague. The second is war. Next comes famine. And the last is death. That fourfold pattern is one of the features of the Bible. Jeremiah said that the people of Jerusalem would be divided between pestilence, the sword, famine, and captivity. Ezekiel talked about the 4 sore acts of judgment, which would be pestilence, the sword, famine, and wild beasts. This time, let's focus on the 4th horseman. Chapter 6, verse 7. The 4th beast called out, and John saw a pale horse. The rider's name was Death. We should have been expecting him. The first horseman is plague, and plague would be followed by death. The second horseman is war, and war would be followed by death. The third horseman is famine, and famine would be followed by death. Clearly these 4 horsemen are riding together. 3 causes of death, namely plague and war and famine, traveling across the world, their paths crossing and crisscrossing. Then death itself follows on behind them, picking up all the corpses. The 4 horsemen event of chapter 6 is obviously a major global crisis with devastating effects. We need to consider now how this chapter fits into the rest of Revelation. We know from chapter 7 that this crisis comes to an end, and there will be a time of recovery before the greater catastrophe of the 7 trumpets. We all know about the 2 beasts of chapter 13. I believe the beast from the sea is a major state, an imperial power which suffers a mortal wound on the face of it, and then comes back to life. I believe the beast from the land is the leader of that state. I believe that the 4 horsemen event of chapter 6 is itself the mortal wound which the beast suffers, along with the rest of the world. I believe that the beast of chapter 13 is whatever state recovers best from the events of chapter 6, and leads the world into recovery. That is how the beast gains the power to impose the kind of control which we call the mark of the beast. Everything that happens in chapter 13 will make sense on those assumptions. I do not say that the present events are necessarily the 4 horsemen events of Revelation chapter 6. I do say that we need to be conscious of the possibility, and we do need to think about what events might be following.